Hey weirdos, and welcome back to my channel. My name is EmmaAbe, and today I am joined with the baby. Today I'm going to be doing a book haul of sorts. During quarantine, because there's nothing else to do, we've been cleaning up a little bit. So we've been going through the books that we have and getting rid of some and purging some, and I have made the decision to take some. The first one actually isn't a book, but it's an audio book, and that is the Lincoln Douglas debates. It's not like necessarily a book. I don't know. I think it's some sort of like play. I don't really know. But I listened to it for a little bit when I was younger. I never actually finished it, and I found it in my parents' room, so I'm going to steal this. Lincoln is played by David Strathairn, and Douglas is played by Richard Dreyfuss. Lincoln Douglas debates is a really interesting bit of history. And as you guys probably know, I really like Lincoln, so I figured I would take this. The next one I didn't really have much choice in, but my mom gave it to me anyway, and that is How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. And he also wrote How to Win Friends and Influence People, and that one's very popular on the internet. I figured, since I'm such a ball of stress and worry like all of the time, it's actually like my natural state of being. I figured I would pick this up. Plus, like, my mom gave it to me and she was just like, I think you should read this. Oh, look, there's a band-aid in here. It does have an audiobook. So this next one we didn't really find in our house, but it was one of those like little library things where you can like take stuff and put stuff back, where we were putting some of our books, and my mom found A Confederacy of Dunces by John Kennedy Newell, and this does have an audiobook. This is a classic, and I know nothing about it. I think the cover looks really cool. It says it's a comedy, so I don't really know what to expect. So I just read the inside sleeves. Features this obese man, by the word's description, and scholar in New Orleans. It basically says it follows his hilarious misadventures. So I don't really know what to expect out of this, but it looks like it could be fun. Next, that is The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. I did have to read this in 7th grade, and I found this really nice copy versus the copy I used in 7th grade, so I decided I would swap copies and we would donate the copy that I had from 7th grade for this one, because this next one, oh crap, mom's calling me. Sorry about the interruption. My mom called me. This next book, I stole it from my brother. He got it from his school, and they haven't asked for it back yet, so it's mine now. That is The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon, and I've read this. I very much enjoyed it. I'd say check it out. It's got awesome autism representation, and also I heard the play is very good. This does have an audiobook, so yes, we love stuff that has audiobooks. And that's all I think I'm gonna say about it. So this next book we've had in my house for a while. I personally haven't opened it, but it's full of classics. And that is The Works of Mark Twain by Mark Twain. So this is a collection. So it's got The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, The Prince and the Pauper, and Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, and others. This is just something that we've had. I personally have never opened it, but I'm glad to put it on my shelf because it's a nice big thick thing, has multiple in one. And this specific edition doesn't have an audiobook, but you can find audiobooks for the separate things within it. I think for most of them, I haven't gone through the list, but most of them do. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about this one. I feel like this is being so boring. Oh my god. I feel like this book haul is so boring because I don't have much to say about most of these books. This next book, and that is Weapons of Math Destruction by Kathy O'Neill. And I don't know anything about it, but it sounds hilarious. Okay, so the subtitle in this is How Big Data Increases Inequality and Threatens Democracy. Yes, this is so interesting. This is a huge problem within computer science world / related worlds, because you can program things, but the way you program things often reflects bias, and once you program bias into a computer, it can become a major issue, but also you have these things like where kind of like programs like the YouTube algorithm itself that are kind of black boxes, which means that you can't really see what they're doing and how they're choosing what they're choosing exactly. Like you can set its parameters, but you can't really tell the reasoning behind, or you can't see how the algorithm makes the decisions that it makes. And that is a major issue. A lot of people think that inherently programs are unbiased, but that is entirely wrong. Big data can be problematic, and I want to take like a big data ethics course. This also does have an audiobook. Next one is we get 2 copies of this one for some reason, and that is the math book by Clifford A. Pickover, and it's From Pythagoras to the 57th Dimension, 250 milestones in the history of mathematics. And I believe that there's also like a science book that's very similar. I love that they swapped some of the like the A and the B to be math symbols, and I've looked at it briefly, and it's just like a little brief synopsis of what the actual event was and like a corresponding picture. You know, I think that that is so much fun and can be a really fun topic to just sort of peruse and learn more about math, because you guys know how much I like math. This one doesn't have an audiobook. This next book we found in my house, and that is Devolver Al Remitente por Julia Alvarez, and this is entirely in Spanish. I've never read it before, but it follows these 2 families, have Mari's family and Tyler's family, and they both, for different reasons, have to leave their home and try and find a new home, and it deals with all of these themes about being undocumented. It says that it's a book full of like hope without easy answers. I think it'd be really interesting, and I figured that I would take it from my mom. This is kind of like what I would call like a middle grade book, but you know what? That's kind of where my reading level in Spanish is right now, because I haven't been practicing that much, so I should do more practicing. But anyway, this one sounds really good. If you have any good recommendations for Spanish literature that you guys think that I would like, leave that down below, because I want to try and up my reading of Spanish literature. This also does have an audiobook, and I will be super excited to check that out. Okay, next is another one that we got from one of those like shareable library, mini library things that have been popping up a lot recently, and that is Darwin The Legend. And this focuses on Charles Darwin, I think towards the end of his life. So it's the story of Darwin's deathbed conversations in the presence of one Lady Hope. Again, my mom picked this up for me, and she thought that it would be interesting. And what I found really interesting is that as I was flipping through, about half of it, this is all like appendix and notes and sources, and this is the actual like writing of it. I don't remember if this has an audiobook or not. I will put that up on the screen. This next one, again, was one that we had lying around the house that my mom thought I'd be interested in, and I am. And that is Multisensory Teaching of Basic Language Skills, and it's an activity book, and this is by Suzanne Cartier, Judith R. Bursch. Flipping through it, it seems like this is going to be a wealth of great activities that I can draw on once I become an ESL teacher or an EFL teacher, once I start teaching English. So that will be great. This is going to be a really great resource that I'm not really going to draw upon until later, but I'm still really glad I have this. There is no audiobook, but there's some really great activity, and there's like reading things that you can do from it. Maybe I should do some of the activities, because it says on the back, it says like to improve. Oh, this is really interesting. It says that this book on the back, teachers will learn how to use multisensory instruction to help students with dyslexia and other disabilities improve their skills, and blah, 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 blah. So I didn't know that this was specifically for people with disabilities, even though like studies show, don't quote me on this, that even if you're teaching techniques towards people with disabilities, it doesn't just help the people with disabilities. It also helps the neurotypical or non-disabled students in a classroom. Last one is John Froyani's American Battlefields, the Art of the Nation at War from 1754 to 1865. So that basically goes from the American Revolution to the Civil War. I was flipping through this and some of the paintings are really beautiful. And it's nice that you get some like word explanations about kind of the writing of what is depicted in the painting, but also a little bit of stories like behind the paintings. And I haven't looked at this at all. This doesn't have an audiobook. And I think the baby is nervous that I'm going to drop this on her. I won't. But I think the art is really cool. And it would be really cool to peruse this casually and look at the beautiful art and the stories behind the art. I'm going to end it here because I'm done. I'm tired. Anyway, thank you guys all. The baby says hi. We're gonna go cuddle now because I need some cuddles and she wants some cuddles. Okay, goodbye.